Hello everybody, welcome to Cheri Voyage. Today we're going to be doing this look, which is all based on spring. I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I'm a bit late, but nonetheless, I'm here to show you guys how to create a beautiful luminous skin with pops of color on the cheek and lip and a gorgeous, bright, natural looking eye. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this look. I'm gonna start off first with the La Mer cream. I'm gonna grab the end of a brush because I never like to stick my fingers in the product, and grab about the size of a dime. And then I'm gonna warm it up in my fingers here. And it should be nice and transparent. It basically activates the product. Once you have it translucent, then you tap it onto the skin. This cream is not only fantastic for anti-aging, it's really incredible for getting a flawless foundation finish. It just looks really pretty to put these foundation pigments on top of this moisturizer because it makes it very hydrated and dewy and luminous without it having that kind of sparkle effect. So for those of you that don't like shimmers, work with creams and serums to give you a really nice base. That way when you put your foundation on, you look nice and dewy and glossy without having a lot of shimmer. All right, now that we've prepped the skin with the La Mer, now I want to bring some light to the skin. So I have the Rosy Light Drops by Chanel. It's the LeBlanc highlighter. This is a beautiful highlighter because it's rosy with pearlescent glow to it. It's very light in texture. It can be used under makeup or it can be used on top. I like to use this as a prep for underneath my makeup, and then I'll go back and touch up on top of my makeup to get a little bit more of that glow. And for those of you that are wondering, does it have a scent? It does. It's a very light rose scent, but it doesn't smell synthetic. It smells very fresh, very clean. Like all of the LeBlanc collection, which I use most of the skincare, it's fantastic for those of you looking to brighten the skin, bring luminosity, and fade dark spots. It all uses the flower meant for brightening and hydration. So you have a rosy scent mixed with that flower scent. It's really calming, luxurious, and it doesn't smell synthetic. It just smells really lovely. I hope you can see the luminosity in the skin because I can definitely see it on my end. It just gives a nice natural brightening effect. So next I'm gonna go ahead and prep with the Chanel Balm Stick. This is the color Transparent. This is gorgeous for bringing light to the skin. You can use it on your lips, your eyes, all over your face. I go back and forth between this stick, the Chanel Balm Stick, and the Westman Atelier Lit Up Stick. For those of you that are wondering what the difference is, the Westman Atelier Lit Up Stick has a holographic texture, so it shifts from blue, purple, and pink. So it's meant to kind of grab light, where this is transparent. Think of something that's more dewy, glass-like skin texture, and just meant to enhance your natural skin. There's a couple ways that you can apply this. You can go directly from the stick onto your skin, or you can just put it in areas that you'd like to bring luminosity to. I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple of stripes all across the cheeks, a little on the chin, the nose, and under the eye. I'm gonna take my beauty blender and just bounce it onto the skin because I don't want to move around the Rosy Light Drops in the Chanel LeBlanc highlighter. I wanna just have it lay nice and glowy onto the skin. Bounce it and press and roll. When you bounce it, you're pushing it into the skin without pushing it into pores. You're just kind of laying it into the skin and then press and roll to warm it up and buff out the product. All right, next I'm gonna use the Westman Atelier Foundation Stick. This is meant to be used as a foundation as well as a concealer. And what I absolutely love about this product is not only its convenience and that it's clean in its ingredients, but it's meant to create a second skin-like finish. So for those of you that like a really natural looking finish and convenience and green and clean, you'll love this. I really like to stick to the center of the face and kind of around the cheek area because that's where we usually have the most discoloration. So what do we think? So next, let's get into lips and cheeks. I love to use a lip palette with beautiful, bright spring colors. Think of a palette that has a lot of floral, bright colors. Think of flowers in spring, those beautiful, vibrant colors that start to pop up throughout the season. The two palettes that are my absolute favorite are the Rouge palette and the Westman Atelier palette. They're both so gorgeous. I have both. I'm gonna show you right now. All right, the first palette is by Rouge. It's a gorgeous palette. I would check her out. She's a French brand who does clothing, makeup, jewelry, etc. She's a wonderful powerhouse of Parisian chicness. Her lip palette, though, to me is just luscious, is a makeup artist's dream. It's really pigmented and the color layout on these is so stunning. She just understands color and this palette really highlights that. So here is the palette. Look at how gorgeous those colors are, you guys. My other favorite palette is by Westman Atelier, and it's the Lip Suede palette. First of all, the actual packaging on all of Westman Atelier products is mwah, it's just beautiful. And there's no exception when it comes to this palette. This is a beautiful, heavy, almost feels like a ceramic weight to it, and it is lacquered red. It's just beautiful. It's one of those pieces that almost feels like you're holding a piece of jewelry, which I love. So here's the front, and then you open it, and there is 4 gorgeous colors. So some of you might have already actually seen me in action with it, but it is a gorgeous palette as well. They're both gorgeous palettes, but I would say this one's a little brighter compared to this one. So I'm going to use this one today. So I'm going to break this palette up by using 2 on the cheeks and these 2 on the lips. I'm going to go ahead and warm this up with 2 separate fingers. I'm going to take these 2 now and just lightly pop them in a kind of a semicircle around the cheek area. Take my beauty blender. So here's one way that you can wear blush by putting it in a half U shape or semicircle, or you can put it just on the high tops of the cheek. So on this other side, I'm going to put it just on the higher area of the cheek up here to show you guys how you can do a little lifting when it comes to your blush. So once again, I'm going to take these 2 colors, just go up through here. Just going to bounce it onto the skin. Okay, so 2 different ways that you can wear it. I usually do this because I like kind of a sun-kissed look, like the sun's just hit me and I've got a little bit of that sunburnt kind of skin that gives a glow. And then this one does really beautiful for those of you who are looking to do a little lifting and a little more subtlety. All right, I'm going to use my favorite contour stick. It's a cool beige, so you get a true cool undertone with that warm brown or bronze on top. It is meant to sculpt and define. It's in a creamy texture. Again, it's got that clean formula mixed with the convenience of being in a stick. To me, this product is the truest contour I've ever used because of the color and the consistency of the formulation. It's really incredible. All right, I'm going to go right under that blush that I just did. Think the top of the ear to the outer corner of the eye. Do just a little line right there. Tiny, tiny bit to underneath my lip to make the lip look a little fuller. And then I'm going to add just a tiny, tiny bit across the nose and under here just to give some nice shadowing. I'm going to take my beauty blender and work or bounce that product into the skin and then lightly work up in little, small, quick flicks of the wrist. Then you're going to go underneath the lip here and bounce. Get used to bouncing, my friends, and pressing and rolling if you want a really flawless finish. It makes a huge difference. From there, we're just going to bounce that contour that we placed under the nose, just kind of push it into the skin. And then I like to bounce that contour across the nose to create a nice warmth that moves through the center of the face, like we were sitting out in the sun and it just warmed up our skin and gave us a nice golden rosy color. Whatever's left over, I tap onto the middle of the forehead. I don't want to add more because I don't want it to be dark everywhere. I just want it to look like it's a natural flush or skin-kissed look. And whatever's left over again, I just tap down the neck. It's nice to work at an angle on each side. When you do that, it creates shadowing, which shadow pulls everything back into space. And if you keep something light, it'll pull it forward. It's a great way to enhance or define or erase features. So are we looking spring, glowy ready? Let's go ahead and get into the next product. This spring look is really about gorgeous luminous skin with a pop of color on the lip and the cheek, a little contouring, and then just a brightening effect around the eye. I'm gonna go ahead and use one of my top 3 favorite luminizers. This is the RMS Beauty Living Luminizer. It's won a bunch of awards and it's absolutely perfect for a bridal season. So here is the Living Luminizer. I'm gonna put a little bit of that here on my finger. I'm gonna tap it right onto the lid. And I don't do too much because I don't want it to crease or look too wet. I just want to brighten the eye while catching a bit of light as I move my head around. I'm gonna add a little more to the upper area of my cheekbone, creating kind of a C shape that moves from the brow around to the upper cheekbone. Because the shimmers are so small and so finely milled, and the base is a perfect kind of creamy jelly texture, it just gives a very beautiful second skin type of look. Right, you can add a little to the Cupid's bow here, a tiny bit to the nose, just kind of tap it around. And then I'm gonna do the other eye, and then we will head on to the lip. All right, other side is done. Before we head to the lips, I want to go ahead and use a translucent setting powder by Laura Mercier. I leave the foundation, concealer, highlighter, etc. on as long as possible to allow it to set into the skin. Once I know it's settled down a bit, then I use a setting powder, usually towards the end. This is a wonderful powder. Now, quickly about powders, my favorite hydrating powders are by Cheri Hyaluronic Powder and Kojin Do's Hydrating Powder, specifically for hydration. My favorite setting powders in general that I reach for often are the Gucci powder. Oh, that powder is so good. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been raving about it. It's just the most beautifully finely milled, subtle, brightening, shimmering powder I've ever used. And the second runner-up, and very, very good, if not as good, I just don't reach for it as much because it's in a loose powder form, is this one by Laura Mercier. If this was in a powder that was a compact, that wasn't a loose powder, it would be as good to me as the Gucci powder. It just comes down to convenience. Both great formulas, just the Gucci's a bit more convenient to carry around, obviously. All right, I'm gonna add a bit of this into my lid here. I'm gonna grab my Kevyn Aucoin large blush powder brush. And you don't want much powder. And then you're going to load the brush. Once I do that, then I could tap this off to get a lot of the powder off. So that way there's hardly any on the brush. I lightly tap on the center of the face. Once we have that there, then you can start working outward. And then once that powder is placed on, then you could start buffing that into the skin. Never pressing hard, just very lightly. Do you see how that dome just kind of kisses the skin? You want to really stick to the dome part of the brush. I take a little under the eye and I save it till the very end when I dust powder on the eye. And that is because I don't want a lot of heavy cakey powder under the eye. I know that baking is very popular. There's a place for it. I'm just not somebody who does it every day. All right, so we are done with the skin portion. As you can see, the goal here was to create almost a transparent, natural looking glow with a nice flushed natural cheek. All right, let's get to these lips. Okay, I'm going to show you two ways that you can do lips. One is a very kind of natural spring mouth where there's no definition. It just looks like almost like a popsicle stain or a berry stain or a lip bitten stain. So to do that, I'm going to grab my Rougey lip palette once again and use the other two colors that I didn't use on the cheeks, which were these two here. So I'm going to take my finger and just blend the two together. It's the most beautiful, like poppy rose color mixed together. And I use my finger to just tap it on. I love these because they're creamy and a bit powdery, so they stick to the lip really well. How gorgeous is this lip color? I mean, you cannot get more spring than this. This is just such a happy palette. It's truly one of my favorite palettes. Because you're working within the same palette, you have a really good color story that's already laid out for you. All right, so I grabbed my Chanel Rose Framboise lip liner. Love these. It's a creamy texture with a wax finish, so it helps any bleeding that might happen around your lip edge, which I definitely get bleeding around my upper lip quite extensively. The beauty about being in your 40s, don't get me wrong, the 40s are amazing. Don't let anybody tell you different. You just have a better sense of who you are and what you want, and that's fabulous. But that also comes with a couple wrinkles here and there, some dark spots, but that's what makeup's for, right? So in comes the lip liner. So the lip liner will help with those edges that seem to have lipstick bleed up into those cracks. So I like to start on the outer corner and move up and around. So think of your lips like a diamond. You want to move from one corner to the other, starting from the outside, working in. That creates a fuller lip look and you get a little more control and a fuller pout. I like to lightly feather the lip liner on so it's no harsh lines, and then work off the side of the pencil to feather in some color on the outer edges, because what happens is if we do a little bit darker out here, it makes the center a little more full. We're gonna feather that corner. Now we're gonna go ahead and work on the upper lip area. All right, what do we think? Nice spring pop of color. Just makes me so happy. I love makeup in general, but there's something about a really beautiful, bright pop of color. Just warms my heart. All right, I'm gonna go ahead now and add the tiniest bit of lip gloss to the center of the lip. All right, so I don't wanna add any more brightness to the lip. It's already bright enough. I wanna create kind of a creamy center and pop the lip up just a bit in kind of the more cupid or middle part of the lip. So I grabbed my Rouge Cocoa Gloss in number 726. It's a beautiful, light, milky rose cream color. Work off the back of your hand. Just gonna put a couple of drops here in the center and tap it on. And I'll shear it out using my pinky from side to side. All right, there we go. What do we think? Do we like this spring look? All right, so here we go. We have a bright spring color. I hope this is something that you guys will try or enjoy. Let me know, of course, if you guys have any questions. Always love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe on truevoyage.com for all the newness, and to my Instagram account just for some fun and newness as well. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.